You're listening to the Teaching Toolbox with Brittany and Ellie. Join them as they talk all things middle school.
So when you think of classroom jobs, you probably picture elementary students passing out papers or feeding the class pet. But what about middle schoolers? Can classroom jobs actually work with tweens and teens, or will you just be met with eye rolls and resistance? Welcome to the Teaching Toolbox Podcast. I'm Ellie, and I'm here with my good friend Brittany.
Howdy.
And today we're exploring what it means to implement classroom jobs at the middle school level, including the benefits and drawbacks and how to make it work without adding to your workload.
Let's start with defining what we mean. Middle school jobs don't have to look like elementary ones. It's more about responsibility and ownership than about routine tasks. Some of the jobs we've had in our own classrooms include a tech manager who handles plugging in devices, distributing tablets, and troubleshooting the basics. A materials manager who distributes and collects supplies like rulers, calculators, glue sticks, lab equipment.
An attendance or do now monitor who reminds classmates of bell work or reminds them to sign in if you have a specific sign-in thing or tracks absences. And maybe a board manager who writes the agenda or the essential question for you.
A class photographer or social media liaison for classes that document their work. A class historian who keeps track on just an index card or in a composition book what was covered in general terms and what, if anything, weird or funny happened that day.
I really like that idea. A teacher assistant is another possible job that will run notes for you, would take attendance and lunch count, pass out papers, or help the teacher in any way. So that could be a little bit different than the attendance or do now monitor, but could just be a general assistant. You could also have a class greeter, somebody who greets people as they come into the classroom and explain what the class is doing and offers the person a seat. Like when you have that pop-in surprise by an administrator, a class greeter might, go ahead and greet that person and tell them what's going on.
So jobs can be weekly on a rotational basis, or you can do them on an application and interest basis, giving students some autonomy over their role.
One of the key shifts here is that jobs should feel age-appropriate and meaningful. If it feels babyish, they will probably check out immediately. You can check out Brittany's Dot Dude decor for some fun dot dudes and classroom jobs that kids will like. So let's get into the pros and cons, because classroom jobs can be fantastic and they can solve some common challenges.
So some pros are that they increase student ownership and investment. When students have a role, they feel more connected to the classroom and their peers. They also teach real-world soft skills like responsibility, punctuality, follow-through, and communication, which are often missing from the curriculum. And they reduce your overwhelm. A student handling the tech setup or organizing the materials for you frees you up for instruction and more connection time with your students.
That's fantastic. Those are some good ones. A few of the cons of classroom jobs could be inconsistent follow-through. Middle schoolers forget a lot. Some of them, not all of them. So you'll still need to follow up and reinforce expectations. Some students won't take it seriously, especially if the job feels too elementary or isn't clearly tied to something they care about. And then initial setup might take some time. Training students, rotating roles, and following up can feel like one more mental tab unless it is streamlined. So it's not necessarily a set it and forget it kind of thing. It works when you treat it like a classroom structure, not a novelty.
So let's talk some logistics. How can teachers implement classroom jobs effectively without losing their minds?
So one thing would be to give jobs real value. Students are more likely to engage in the job if it has a visible impact, like they help the class run more smoothly or their role is publicly recognized.
You can use a posted job chart or a digital dashboard. This makes it easy to track who's doing what each week. Google Slides, a whiteboard, or a classroom display are all suitable options.
And if you're going to start with jobs, start small. Maybe just 3 to 5 jobs max. Don't feel like you have to give every student a job or you have to have 10 or 15 jobs so that there's enough to go around every month or something like that. Choose ones that align with actual classroom needs and then build from there.
You don't need to have every kid have a job. And then incorporate reflection or feedback. Have students check in monthly. What's working? What jobs would you change? This promotes accountability and gives them a voice.
And you can build in rewards or recognition. It doesn't have to mean prizes. It could be verbal praise or a job shout-out board or a classroom currency system if you use one. And I'm just kind of thinking for you, Brittany, would you do different jobs in different classrooms? Like in my homeroom or in my 9th period, I might have these 2 or 3 jobs. But in my math classes, I might have different jobs. Or even from class to class, you might feel like this class can handle jobs a little bit better than this class can, or we need some different ones. What do you think about having different jobs in different classes?
Definitely. I would definitely have probably more jobs in my first and last period than I would in my middle of the day classes, so that those first and last periods can help the classroom get started in the morning and prepare for the next day.
Yeah, I'm even thinking like in the last period of the day, somebody's job might be to be the floor monitor. I feel like we may have had a floor monitor because you know what the floors can end up looking like, all those random pencils and papers and whatever. So there might be a floor monitor who checks every single group or every area so that before students are allowed to go to the locker at the end of the day, for example, the floor has to be clean and the monitor takes control of dismissing them to go to their lockers, or somebody writes the agenda on the board. That might be where you have a board helper if you don't have it in other classes.
Definitely. And don't forget, you don't have to do it alone. Delegate your job setup as a job itself. Like have a classroom manager who helps train others or monitors the board or switches the jobs every week.
I like that. It takes even more off of the teacher plate. So middle schoolers can get a bad rap for being unmotivated, but when you give them a role with real meaning, like these jobs can be, many of them will rise to the challenge.
Classroom jobs aren't about chores. They're not about like your minions doing your work for you.
Right.
They're about building community and sharing responsibility and preparing students for the real world. It might take a little extra setup at the beginning, but the payoff can be huge. So we want to hear from you. Have you tried classroom jobs in your middle school? What worked? What flopped? What has been your best job?
Tag us on Instagram or send us a message with your favorite middle school job idea. And if you've got a teacher friend who's drowning in some classroom chaos, send them this episode. We've got them covered. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
You just listened to the Teaching Toolbox. Follow them on your favorite platform for more episodes and share it with a friend.